I am excited we'll just jump right in to the fundamentals, which is your thoughts on the game and little things that you saw, and then we'll move into our frenzy. But overall, and well, first of all, how was the food? Like, come on, how was your food?
The food was really good, and obviously, I sent pictures of the wine delivery and
Yes, you did.
all the corks from years past and games past, and you know what it's excellent like every time. My buddy puts on a great spread, and although we did which we got out a little bit this time, and there's a Navy SEAL bar on Coronado that a bunch of the guys hit multiple times while they were down. So it's a little hole in the wall, and it's their spot, and they've got
That's
a bunch of
awesome.
fallen comrades, all their pictures, and it's pretty a very cool place if anyone wants to make it there and check it out. Of course, Coronado's a huge SEAL community, so.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
What,
it was a great
so,
weekend. Good
what was
people.
your favorite food item? Your like top like.
So my buddy and his cousin, they do it separately, but they make this dish. It's chicken. It's got olive, and I don't really eat olives, but this dish has olives, so you can taste the acidity from the olives, which really makes the dish really good. And it's got onions and it's got peppers, and it all just sits in, gets cooked in a big, not crock pot, but what are the big baking dishes?
Like a Dutch oven
I,
or
I guess, for lack of a better word. So they kind of saute the chicken, and then they put everything in the pan and they put it in the oven and let it cook. But I love it because it's better on the next day because, of course, everyone gets to know each other, right?
right, right.
So that was my favorite dish. But we had steaks and we had what else? I mean, just yeah, steaks, more steak than you could, and that's the thing. So there were three or four guys who would kind of handle the cooking, and so one would be done cooking, and you get like maybe a half hour respite, and then the next one would start going with what he was going to make, right? And so it was pretty fun, and that's the same thing with the wine, because even if you're gonna, okay, well, I'm going to pace myself. Well, you turn around and have a conversation, and magically your glass is filled, right? It's like, no, it's there, so I'm going to drink it, right?
Well, you know what happened to us is it was just my mom and James and me, and I made the artichoke dip, of course.
Mhm.
And then I decided, oh, I'm going to make these little pretzel bites. I'll make these little homemade pretzel bites, and I'll make some beer cheese dip to go with it. We were so full on that. Well, and then the wings, because James did the wings. I didn't even make the quesadillas. I didn't even make the kale Caesar salad. I couldn't have eaten it if I wanted to. So I had to make that like the next night.
Right.
But yeah. Beer cheese and the pretzel nugget, like they just expand,
Right.
like, whoo. It was good though.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. Almost forgot. So on Sunday, the last 3 or 4 years, what he's done is he's had I'm not sure what the restaurant is, but they come to the house and they make these for lunch on Sunday, these torta sandwiches.
That's what you were
So
telling me. That sounds so good. I love
yeah,
tortas.
they're excellent. So it's got the beef and it's got, and I don't know what it is. They have these kind of pickled jalapenos, and then
Hmm.
they just kind of top them with a little bit of rock salt. And
Oh,
holy
yum.
cow! Oh my goodness!
And
Just
tortas are on those like thick tortilla cornmeal, like almost like a cornmeal bun almost, right? Like they're kind of a little thicker than a tortilla.
it reminds you of a ciabatta almost,
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
It's
And
not
then
as doughy. It's not as bready.
yes,
Because it's
yeah,
corn. It's
exactly.
cornmeal. It's cornmeal. It's still a corn based
Okay,
something. But yeah, yum. That
and
sounds so
then
good.
big spread of guac, and then I was the only one who was getting mine without the mayo because I just can't do mayo. But but oh man, those were a close second. Me, those were really good. They were incredible. But yeah,
Sounds
so it was
good.
great.
So
Um,
yeah, sorry, taquito's like a little growly over there. Okay, so
well,
game.
so yeah, so well, like I told you earlier, just quickly, one of the things I wanted to point out was I finally saw Jalen Hurts' uh, Disney
I'm going
World
to
commercial.
Disney World.
Yes. And so, and I didn't really think about it Sunday, and then it took me all this long to finally see it. And I saw it this morning, so it just made me think about. And I don't know how many of our viewers know, but they actually contract with someone on both teams, right? So their bases are covered. It's not like the people making the deal with Disney have or make it in that moment, or have are clairvoyant enough to pick the exact guy who's going to win them. They have deals with both teams. And there are championship jerseys and hats made for both teams as well.
Right. Yes.
And so if you go to some country, perhaps in Africa, parts of Asia, there are little kids running around in Chiefs 2024 championship jerseys or shirts and hats, right? Which is what they do with them.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the game, look, very surprised it wasn't closer. I thought the Eagles had the potential to make it a blowout if they played like they played against Washington, but I didn't see that happening. The Chiefs have played so well this year. You know, they only lost 2 games. They've been so clutch. They know how to dial it up. They know they're very familiar with this. Is their 3rd year in a row being in the Super Bowl, so nothing's new to them as far as the experience. And the Eagles just put on a dominant performance, and it was just they boat raced them from the beginning, pretty much. Even the first drive, which was called back because of offensive pass interference, which I dispute.
Yep.
They were clicking right from the beginning, and
I bet everyone that first penalty was like, "Oh, here we go," but then I kind of feel like they made up with it for that first penalty against Kansas City.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And again, the refs are kind of the story, but not really, because it wouldn't have mattered. They could have helped the Chiefs all they want. I think the outcome was going to be the same regardless. And I think the biggest, the group that probably played the best was the front four for the Eagles.
Oh my God, yes.
They didn't call one blitz, at least according to the information I got. I saw some competing information, but the information I saw was that they didn't call one blitz because they just made it a nightmare game for Patrick Mahomes, just rushing the front four, meaning they're not blitzing by bringing extra defender or even a 6th defender. And he was just miserable, and he never had time to set up. And even when he did, he was thinking about the rush. He was paying attention to the rush and not paying attention downfield. And it's just the perfect synergy between excellent athletes and a game plan that took advantage and put those athletes in position to make plays and to win.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I'm sure Eagles fans will think, "Oh, we're gonna repeat," and I don't know what their roster is gonna look like next year, but look, it's possible. I think most pundits would agree they probably had the best roster of any team this year. And that's not always the formula to win, but in this case, it really was. Their DBs played great. Cooper DeJean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The other rookie corner. Just everyone played well. And I was just so happy to see how well Jalen Hurts played. I was really happy for him.
I know. He's your guy.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed, like really kind of immediately though, was this lack of energy on the Chiefs' part. It just was kind of weird. Like you saw them, on the field, there was a lack of energy. Then they show them on the sideline, lack of energy. It wasn't even like they were getting fired up and pissed, like we're getting our butts kicked.
Right.
There was none of that. It was kind of strange to see, I thought. But I agree. Well, we'll talk about it in the frenzy with my thoughts on the MVP. But I definitely thought, is it Vic Fangio? Is that his name, the defensive coordinator? What an incredible game he called.
Yeah.
And you're right. That front four, they never stopped. They never, ever stopped. That was my favorite thing to watch, was the defense. Like the offense on either side, I was kind of like, okay. But the defense was so exciting. They were swarming, just like, it's crazy.
Now, part of that maybe can be put on the Kansas City game plan. Just in that, I don't think it would have mattered, but it didn't really seem like they had a huge commitment to the run. And sometimes you go into
No,
a game and you just say, look, they're so good in this aspect of the game. We're just going to go over the top, right? We're not even going to worry about that. But the problem that creates for your offensive line, who, to be honest, they had Joe Tooney, who's normally by trade a guard. They had to kick him out to left tackle. That's a very difficult spot to be in when you're used to having a lot of big bodies around you. And so if you
mm,
eat a little bit, you can use your buddies' kind of positioning to kind of help you reestablish your block. Whereas when you're at tackle, especially left tackle, you're on your own a lot of
I
the
see.
time. And
Yeah,
it wasn't just him; it was all across the board. So it wasn't just him. Um, but what I'll say is those defenders, the defensive line for the Eagles, they didn't have to respect the run, meaning it didn't slow them down like looking for the ball for a run. They were just racing to the quarterback
yeah,
and incidentally, hey, we'll stop the run as we go, but we're getting to the QB. And
yeah.
so
And they did.
yes. And so it's incumbent upon the offense, the quarterback, to use the snap count, to use the threat of the run. Even if you're not running, the threat of the run to give your offensive lineman a chance and where they're not just backpedaling the whole game. And it didn't break that way for the Chiefs. So
Yeah,
not that I'm
no.
trying. Look, I'm pleased with the way it worked out. So
What did you think about the entire, the game just in general, the show part of it? I loved the artwork. I think like the artwork that it was a female artist from the New Orleans area. I thought was very, very cool. The spectacle.
yeah, I thought it was great. The only look, the game was a terrible watch, right?
Yes.
It wasn't competitive. So from that standpoint, it was a bad watch. I've never seen a worse batch of commercials. Like not one stuck out to me as being actually good. Um,
I liked
but
the no hate commercial, the Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady about hate. But it was more subtle than I thought it could have been, but that was good.
yeah,
See, it didn't register with you. That's how subtle it was
right,
and short.
right. I like vaguely remember Snoop kind of coming, but uh, but I thought some of the pregame stuff was I really appreciated the Lady Gaga uh,
Hmm.
song and for a split second I was like, well, why is Nola being strong? Then I remembered the incident
Yeah,
that happened during
yeah,
the bowl game.
yeah.
Uh, well, it happened. Ohio State just happened to be down there for their bowl game, so I guess I should say. But I appreciated that. I love the halftime show. And I guess it kind of, I was getting a lot of the kind of MAGA points about the halftime show. And I guess it's one of those things, if you know, right? And it clearly wasn't for everyone while it was for everyone because all the USA imagery was for to make a point, right? And
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
getting to that point, but I think Kendrick handled it well. And yeah,
I
it was
liked it too.
entertaining.
I thought his mic wasn't. They needed his. He wasn't loud enough. I thought the sound quality wasn't very good because I think it would have been more impactful, especially
Right,
for people who don't really know his music, to be able to
right,
hear him a little bit better. But
right.
I think that's got to be tricky. You're setting that up so quickly, and yeah, and well, no, never mind, not the place.
Well,
Never
let me say
mind.
this: as much as I enjoyed it, my Madison, my daughter, and I had a debate leading up to. Well, is he going to outdo Beyonce at the Christmas halftime show? And
Not
of
possible.
course,
Not
it was.
possible.
I probably should have known that going into it, right? It wasn't going to
Remember, I texted you. I'm like, "There's no way."
happen. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I thought, what my favorite part about the whole spectacle was, or it wasn't even just the spectacle. Jameis Winston was so funny. So he was a roving reporter for Fox.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm very scratchy right now. And he was everywhere. He was at Cafe de Monde with beignets. He was walking with a band. He was, I'm so sorry. He was interviewing the guys at the media day. So funny. He's asking them, I need a job. Where should I go? I think Saquon Barkley said, well, the Giants need a quarterback, you know? So you have to go back and watch some of his interviews. Absolutely hysterical. He absolutely got himself a job for post football career. He was great. It was great.
Good for him. Because I don't know if you've ever seen some of the NFL film when he's mic'd up in the huddle.
So funny. He's so funny.
Yes, he's got a really good personality.
Yeah.
Really.
So find some of that and watch it. It's great.
Yes.
The other thing that I thought was kind of funny, and tell me if you think this. And I thought, first of all, I thought I was the only person who thought that, but then I realized that is ridiculous, Kim. I'm pretty sure everybody thinks this. I think Tom Brady was kind of happy that Mahomes had such a flop. Do you think that?
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't think he looks at it that way because, one, he didn't have a flop of a game. He's still so far from GOAT status. Like, Tom's still the GOAT. Not the most talented quarterback ever, but the most decorated, most deserving of the praise. And that's what a lot of the pundits were saying that I saw during the week, is that in those situations, Tom would have been able to manufacture something. Even though the Eagles were putting it on him and stuff, he would have been able to manufacture something, whether it was 3 or 4 yards at a time. He would have been able to get something going where they get a little bit of momentum and maybe not have it be such a wide gap. Maybe they still lose the game. Well, he lost 3 of the Super Bowls he played in, but
true.
They never just quite looked so bad and just got boat raced like that. That's the difference. So look, they all have egos, and we all have egos, and so I'm sure he remain the GOAT. So
he was like,
I'm sure he probably was a little. Well, I'm not terribly upset about this result.
Did you see he was wearing? Was it a $740,000 watch in the booth?
Is that right?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
I know. But who wears a watch like that? He does.
He does.
Tom Brady does. And I sent you the little game that I made, and one of the questions that I had was, how many times would they show Taylor Swift? And we all were wrong because I guessed 6. My daughter guessed 9. James guessed 8, and it was once.
Yes.
My mom actually got it right once.
Really?
They showed her once. Isn't that crazy?
With the way the game was going, there was nobody rotating.
Very true. Very true.
You know what? And I meant to, because you sent it through the email, and so I didn't see it until late. And I want to thank you for that because I didn't do mine this year. And of course, everyone was like, "What are you talking about? You didn't do it right." So all we had was the squares this year. And speaking of which,
did you win?
So I didn't win any of the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter, which is the biggest one, it was over $1,000. There were 8 minutes left in the game when the Eagles scored again, and I had the winning square. And I was like, "It's too early. It's way too early. There's no way this game is going to end scoreless in these last 8 minutes." I think they scored 2 or maybe even 3 more times after that. So I entertained it for a brief second, right? So what are you going to do?
My bonus question was total number of points, and I actually got that. I was the one who got that one right in our house, but I didn't think it was going to be, 40-22 or whatever, or 42-20. I was thinking more it was going to be 34 to what,
Right.
So I was laughing. I'm like, well, that's not the way I planned it, but okay.
However it comes.
However.